only ensures continuation of elite taste and heritage appreciation. So the state responsible for opera and the Philharmonic Orchestra, market responsible for all the performing events, right, the cultural events, so on. So this division of labor separates citizenship into a cultural upper class and a cultural lower class, right? And they don't share the same culture. Right? Like the story I told you last week. They used to share the same culture, right? And there is a lot more cultural harmony and mutual understanding if you share the same culture. If you separate into the division become bigger and bigger. If the economic rich-poor gap is bigger and bigger, and the culture class gap is bigger and bigger, it's not a very healthy thing, right, for a society. Now, this presumption that market-based forms of Western cultural production are natural is actually something we need to question. Was the market always the key player in this? There is a kind of very strange Cold War justification. Let me explain that. There is this belief that there used to be, governments used to not care about culture and allow it to do whatever it wants. That's laissez-faire economy and laissez-faire cultural policy. And they were saying, because the government did not take care of culture and manage it, it allows certain places to develop fascism, and other places develop horrible communism, right? Fascism, communism, very, very horrible. And because those governments did not manage their culture and allow culture to develop that way. And this is what the capitalist West like to say. So we need to care about cultural control and manage it, so they don't go wrong like those other countries, like the communist countries, like the totalitarian countries, like those fascist countries. So there is a certain ideological background behind it, and claiming that laissez-faire cultural policies is not good. But there are a lot of places this really can't explain, like the rest of the world, the ex-colonies, the socialist state. And we need to bring back this more historical, contextualized understanding of all these things, rather than big ideological claims. Right? We need to try to learn to see what really happens, specifically in the history of a certain place, rather than making these assumptions that are big ideological assumptions. We need to go back to, for example, our own history of colonialism and decolonization, and not to confuse certain things like how a state control their culture, how they control their economy, and it's not necessarily about those Cold War ideological differences, but it might be something a lot more contextual and specific. Now, after giving you a brief outline of what socialist cultural policy is like and what happens in Latin America, I'll give you a break before we come back to Hong Kong. Now, there are a lot of misconceptions about what happens in socialist cultural policy. All we think about China and the socialist states is that they have censorship. They control what people can say. They don't have freedom of expression. And we understand all those as command cultures, as control freak, as colonial culture, and so on. So we tend to understand socialist cultural policy only in the sense of censorship. That's how we usually understand culture in China as well. Now, is that the whole story? So I hope that it is a true class discussion and tutorials that we go into the details. And what I'll do here is only to give you a much broader outline. And like the West, right, socialist cultural policies started as principles in creating political subjects, right? The national subject that feels a sense of belonging to the nation, and also promoting economic growth. Socialist states also care about economic growth. Right? to make competitive, useful citizens. For example, you can actually go online and you can download, for example, Mao's cultural policy statement. So Mao Zedong talks at the Yan'an Forum on Literature and Art. So I'll email you some links. I'll ask the TA to copy it on the blackboard later during the break. There are English translations and the Chinese original. So you can compare Mao Zedong's version with the version from Russia, the USSR that you see in your readings. In your reading on command cultures and the post-colonial, you would see examples from mainly the USSR, right, and the ex-socialist states, places like Czechoslovakia, and so forth. You have cases from there. And we'll make sure that during the break we give you the links to the Chinese version. So you can actually apply these ideas and see whether it is similar. So let me tell you something like what Lenin would say about culture. Lenin calls literature, asks literature to become the party literature in opposition to the profit-making, commercialized bourgeois culture. No longer bourgeois literary careerism, no longer individualist, aristocratic, drive for profit, but serve the goals of the party. So, in order to, not just to make you a national subject, but to make you a Marxist subject, communist subject. And culture must also serve the interests of the workers, of the exploited classes. And also, it should promote internationalist ideas of culture rather than only nationalist. So, of course, there are always other very scary things when you apply these things. So, at first, they thought they could do it more internationalist. But soon after Stalin became the leader, Stalin refers back to emphasizing local character, national culture, and so on and so forth. So the policy is not as consistent as you thought. Right? They actually fluctuate between these ideals and practicalities. And Mao Zedong also argued that state socialism had produced content that inflected both by socialist principles, but you also need national character, national form, and style. That's why he did not kill Beijing opera, or what you call Jingju. He did not kill Jingju, but encouraged artists to develop it into a proletariat form, right? Like the model plays. He did not kill ballet either, right? But it's also designed, right? Recreated into model plays as well. Right? So you can see sometimes when you can actually buy DVDs of those model plays at Yuanbanhei, right? And some of them are like ballet, some of them are like Beijing's theater. Okay. So and also there are lots of other things that Stalin would say too, and he is actually more concerned about culture being organically coming from the population and its traditional culture and so on. Very strangely, not what you expect of a communist. So there's a lot of fluctuation and contradiction. And also another major contradiction is they say they want an organic cultural emergence.